Many people in Lagos knew the name Kenneth Ajayi. To some, he was a tech genius. To others, he was a ruthless businessman. But to most people who worked under him, Kenneth was simply the man who had everything. He was the kind of man who didn't knock before entering a room. He walked in like he owned it, and somehow he usually did. His face had graced many magazine covers. His words had shaken foundations, while his money had silenced arguments, settled lawsuits, brought silence, and even destroyed reputations. Kenneth was just 38, but he was the founder of the biggest Nigerian fintech company, which he built from scratch. People called him the Silicon Lion. He wore imported Italian suits and smelled like expensive decisions. His mansion in Banana Island was so expensive that it had an elevator that spoke in a British accent. His staff moved like soldiers, never smiling. His security men wore sunglasses even at night, and his chefs had foreign diplomas. In fact, everything around him screamed of power. However, Kenneth wasn't just rich, he was proud. He walked like the ground owed him loyalty and talked to people as if they were replaceable batteries. He believed respect should be earned with fear and not kindness. He didn't keep old friends. He only kept relevant ones. He did not believe in second chances. Once you failed him, you are gone. And in his word, emotions are weaknesses. He never laughed, and when he did, it sounded like a performance. At his side was Tina, his beautiful, glamorous, and picture-perfect fiancée. Her Instagram had over 200,000 followers, and most of them believed she and Kenneth were Nigeria's version of Jay-Z and Beyonce. They wore matching clothes to weddings and flew private jets to Dubai just for lunch. On Valentine's Day 2 years ago, Kenneth hired dancers to spell out "Will you marry me?" in front of a moving yacht. People were still talking about it 2 years later. But behind closed doors, Tina was a cold, calculating, and selfish woman. She loved status, not sacrifice. And Kenneth didn't mind, because to him, loyalty was for the poor. What mattered to people like him was image. He had fired over 50 people in 1 year for reasons that ranged from "you sneezed too close to my car, do you know how much it cost me?" to "I don't like how your face looks on Monday morning." One of those people he fired was Angela, his former maid. She was a humble girl who came from the village with the energy to work like two people. She was respectful and never argued. But one afternoon, Tina accused her of stealing a gold necklace, and without asking questions, Kenneth called the head of security and ordered, "Get her out. I never want to see her again." Angela cried. She knelt and begged. She swore on her late mother's grave that she didn't take anything. She even suggested they searched her bag. But Kenneth didn't care. He turned away and walked into his house as Angela stood outside crying beside her broken Ghana Must Go bag, crushed and confused. And just like that, he forgot her like he forgot several other employees. Now, years later, Kenneth was preparing for his company's 10th anniversary. The event was being held at the Lagos International Conference Center. The media was already present. Chairs were decorated with gold cloths, and the air was filled with the scent of imported roses. Tina, his fiancée, arrived in a dress that looked like it cost more than minimum wage for 5 years. People were smiling, clinking glasses, calling him a visionary, and speculating that he might soon run for governor. Kenneth stood up to give a speech. He raised the mic, cleared his throat, and started with, "10 years ago, I had a vision," but suddenly he paused. His words choked, his hands shook, and then everything around him spun. Before the crowd could understand what was happening, Kenneth Ajayi, the billionaire who had it all, collapsed collapsed like a sand castle meeting the sea. People shouted, Tina screamed, and the MC froze. Two of his bodyguards ran forward and he was rushed to the hospital in minutes. After what felt like eternity, Kenneth Ajayi woke up in a hospital room that didn't feel like Lagos. Everything was white, quiet and expensive. His head felt heavy. There was a drip in his arm and a monitor was beeping beside him. He blinked in confusion. Where am I? A nurse rushed over. Sir, you are awake. Thank God. Kenneth tried to sit up, but his chest tightened and his body felt like it had run a marathon inside a burning house. Tina rushed in moments later, screaming with fake tears. Baby, oh my God, you scared me. I thought I lost you. She flung her designer bag on the floor like it was part of the performance. Do you know how long I've been crying? I've not slept a bit. But Kenneth looked at her like someone watching a badly acted Nollywood movie. His mind was still foggy and his memory was blurry. All he remembered was standing on stage, about to give a speech, then darkness. The doctor arrived 30 minutes later. His name tag was Dr. Felix Akinlabi, nephrologist, and his face said it all before his mouth even spoke. Mr. Ajayi, he began. We need to talk. Kenneth raised an eyebrow. Talk about what? I just collapsed from stress. I've been working too much, I know. It should be low blood sugar. Dr. Felix looked him in the eye. It's your kidneys. They are failing. Kenneth blinked. Failing? Yes, sir. Your creatinine levels are dangerously high. You are at stage 5. It's called end-stage renal disease. Kenneth laughed. Are you joking? Me, kidneys failing? Look at me. I am strong. I jog twice a week. I eat grilled chicken and salad. I even drink imported water. The doctor nodded calmly. That may be true, but this is not about your lifestyle. Sometimes it's genetics, sometimes it's delayed diagnosis, but what we are sure of is this. You need a kidney transplant urgently. There was silence before Tina finally spoke. Wait, what does that mean? Like, he can't pee again? Dr. Felix replied, his kidneys are no longer filtering waste. Dialysis is a short-term solution, but for long-term survival, he needs a new kidney. Kenneth shifted back in shock. His body suddenly felt foreign, as if it was a machine that was turning against him. How soon? He asked. Sooner than you think, the doctor replied. We need to find a donor. A living donor is better. Someone young and healthy. A family member is ideal, or even a close loved one. Tina's eyes widened. A donor, as in surgery, someone will remove their kidney and give to him? Dr. Felix nodded. Tina shifted in her chair but didn't say anything. That evening, she posted a black and white photo of Kenneth on Instagram with the caption, "Keep my king in your prayers. We are fighting a battle we didn't plan for. #strongman. #faith over fear." The light started pouring in and so did the comments. God is your strength. You shall not die. Sending you healing energy, sis. But in real life, Tina didn't spend the night at the hospital. She said she had a headache and needed to rest. Kenneth didn't argue, so she left. The next day, Dr. Felix returned with more results and sat beside Kenneth. Mr. Ajayi, you need to understand, the next few days are critical. Dialysis can keep you stable only temporarily, but without a transplant, your condition will worsen. We've already started looking through the donor registry. Kenneth nodded. Fine. What about my brothers? I have 2. Call them in for testing. His brothers came immediately they were sent for. They were tested, but unfortunately, they both failed. One had high blood pressure, while the other was a carrier of a disease that made him incompatible. Kenneth was disappointed, but he still had other options. Okay, what about volunteers? I will pay any amount. Without wasting time, the hospital issued a discreet call for volunteers. 3 people came, but 2 of them fainted at the sight of needles, while 1 ran away when asked for a blood test. Tina sat by his side one afternoon scrolling her phone. Babe, can't you just wait for a dead donor? It could take months, Kenneth replied. I don't have that kind of time. She kept quiet. Later that evening, Kenneth couldn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling and thought about his life, how everything had always gone his way until now. Then he overheard Tina speaking on the phone in the hospital corridor. She didn't know he had stepped out of his room to stretch his legs. She stood by the balcony talking to her friend. Me? Donate a kidney? Are you mad? I am too young to risk my life for any man, even if he is a billionaire. If he dies, he dies. I'll cry, oh sha, but I beg. I am not cutting my body for anybody. Kenneth froze. She laughed. He doesn't even know I have been talking to Bayo again. You remember Bayo now? The one I dated before. He's been checking up on me since Kenny fell sick. I need to keep my options open at this point. Kenneth, who had heard everything, turned and went back to his room slowly. He looked around the luxurious suites, flowers, wine, flat screen TV, and for the first time, he felt poor, not financially, but emotionally and relationally. Everybody he trusted was backing out. No one could save him, not Tina, not his brothers, not even his staff. People were sending prayers, but none would give a kidney. And so, every day, Kenneth Ajayi, the most sought-after man in Lagos, now sat silently in his luxury hospital suit, watching the ceiling fan spin with no purpose, just like how his life now felt. It had been 7 days since the diagnosis, 7 days since Tina's phone call that sliced through his heart like broken glass, 7 days since his so-called friends promised to send help, but disappeared like mist when the sun rises. By now, their flowers had stopped coming in, their text messages had slowed down. Even his PA, the boy that used to run errands with so much excitement, now sent short cold messages like, "Sir, I hope you are strong. We are praying for you." Kenneth's phone was constantly vibrating with Instagram notifications. 15,427 likes on your recovery photo. He sighed sadly. People liked the idea of caring, but no one wanted to bleed for you. They would clap for you when you gave to the poor, but vanish the very moment you became the poor in need of a miracle. Tina came again that morning, but her perfume entered the room before she did. She wore a yellow dress, long lashes, and frowned like someone who came to forcefully fulfill duty. She brought a food flask and sat beside Kenneth while scrolling her phone. "I brought that special rice you like from Sycamore Lounge," she said without even looking up. Kenneth stared at her. "Tina, do you still want to marry me?" Tina paused. "Why are you asking me that? Just answer." She sighed. "Babe, you know I love you, but this is a lot. I wasn't expecting this. You didn't even prepare me for this kind of life." Kenneth smiled weakly. "You mean sickness?" "No, yes. I mean being here every day, watching you suffer. I can't handle it emotionally. You know I'm a soft person, right? To be honest, I haven't been sleeping well." He looked at her eyeballs deeply, as if he could see her soul through it, and luckily he did. He saw the truth. Tina loved his lifestyle, not his life. She stood up soon after and kissed him on the forehead, as if she was visiting her uncle in the hospital. "I'm going for a spa retreat with the girls. I need to clear my head, but I'll be praying for you." She left and he never saw her again. One morning, Dr. Felix pulled a chair close to Kenneth and said, "Mr. Ajayi, the dialysis is buying us some time, but not much. Your body is beginning to resist treatment, and if we don't get a compatible kidney in the next 7 days, things will begin to shut down." Kenneth Kenneth closed his eyes in pain. The doctor asked, "Have you tried more family? My mother is diabetic. My father is dead. My cousins are abroad and unavailable. Everyone is busy." Dr. Felix nodded, stood up, and left quietly. Kenneth stared out of the window that night, wondering if this was how his life would end, slowly and silently, surrounded by people who were waiting for him to die so they could share his property. The doctors had just confirmed he had 1 week, just one. If a matching donor didn't show up soon, he would have to transition to comfort care. And the moment dialysis stopped working, that would be the end. He had begged everyone, family, friends, even his PA, offering them millions, houses, cars, whatever they wanted if they would donate 1 kidney. Some smiled and said they would think about it, while others just quietly changed the topic. One even said, "But sir, what if I need my kidney later in life? You know, nobody knows tomorrow." He had lost all hope and resigned to his fate until that afternoon when the head nurse came in with 2 other doctors holding a brown file. Kenneth sat up slowly, trying not to expect too much, yet desperate to leave. The doctor spoke up. "Mr. Ajayi, we found a donor match." Kenneth blinked. "A match? As in someone is ready to give me a kidney?" The doctor nodded. "Yes, and they are medically cleared. They've gone through all the tests and have signed the consent form. We are scheduling the procedure for tomorrow morning." Kenneth's heart started beating fast. He was both relieved and confused. Who is it? Please, I need to know." The nurse looked up from the file and said they requested anonymity until after the surgery. Kenneth frowned. Wait. What kind of person does that? I don't understand. Is it someone I know? Is it a public donor? "I'm afraid we can't tell you more than that right now," the doctor replied. "What matters is that you have a match. Prepare yourself mentally. It's a complicated surgery, but your chances are much better now." And so they left him there confused. Kenneth stared at the door as they left. Then he lay back, breathing deeply. All sorts of thoughts ran through his mind. Who would do this? Who still cared about him? Had one of his rich acquaintances changed their mind? Could it be someone from his past? His brothers were off the hook. His sister was in Canada with 3 children. His friends were all cowards. And Tina, well, if she was the donor, he would know because she would have already made an Instagram post about it and maybe a podcast interview too. Meanwhile, across town, a young lady sat alone on a wooden bench outside her church. She held her old Bible close to her chest, saying secret prayers. She had signed the donor form 2 days ago after finding out through a mutual friend that Mr. Kenneth Ajayi was dying of kidney failure. She hadn't even hesitated, not because he deserved it, but because God had healed her heart from bitterness a long time ago. She had long moved on, but when she heard of his condition, something stirred inside her. Peace, the kind of peace that comes from doing the right thing when no one was watching. She had told the doctor that she didn't want him to know her identity until after the surgery. If he survives, he can thank God, she said. "I am not doing it for applause. Just let him live." Back at the hospital, Kenneth could barely sleep. He tossed and turned. Every beep from the machine made his heart jump. He kept thinking about all the people he had helped, all the ones he had used, all the connections, the fame, the status, and yet, at this moment, he had nothing but one anonymous act of kindness standing between him and the grave. For the first time, he prayed with his heart. "God, I have been a proud man. I have hurt people. I have made enemies. But if you let me survive this, I swear I will find whoever did this for me and I will make it right." Meanwhile, outside his door, the nurse was reviewing the donor file. Name, Angela Nwoke. Occupation, laundry assistant. Relationship to patients, former employee. Reason for donation, because life is precious, even his. The nurse shook her head quietly and smiled. This word, you never know who your angel is. The next morning, two people were wheeled into the operating theater, a billionaire and a forgotten housemaid. One eternity later, Kenneth Ajayi slowly opened his eyes, and immediately a sharp pain in his side hit him, reminding him that something major had happened and that he was still alive. He blinked slowly, trying to remember where he was and what day it was. And as the fog in his brain began to clear, a single thought crawled out from the corner of his mind. The transplant had happened. He looked around weakly, expecting to see the doctors, or at least the nurse who always gave him hope. But instead, he saw Tina, his glamorous fiancée, standing near the window wearing sunglasses inside the room and holding her phone as if it was a microphone. She was smiling into the camera and talking to her Instagram followers. Hey guys, good news. Kenny pulled through. The surgery was a success. We are so grateful to God and to whoever made this miracle happen. We'll be doing a sit-down video to tell all very soon. Stay tuned. Kenneth called out with his weak voice, Tina. She turned around surprised and quickly dropped the phone. Babe, you are awake. Thank God. I've been here since yesterday night. He raised an eyebrow slightly. You just came now. Tina laughed nervously and came closer. Don't say that, babe. I was praying for you and posting your updates. You know how people love you. I even bought a matching t-shirt for the awareness walk I'm planning. Kenneth frowned. A walk? For my kidney? Tina nodded proudly. Yes. Kidney Life Foundation. I already got a good designer to work on a logo. Kenneth closed his eyes briefly. He wanted to laugh, but the stitches on his side said, don't try it. He opened his eyes slowly to look at her again. Who gave me the kidney? Tina looked confused. Well, we don't know yet. They said some anonymous donor stepped forward last minute. Kenneth narrowed his eyes. So, you are here for pictures and you don't even know who saved me? Tina blinked. Babe, I came because I love you. Or because you love the spotlight, he whispered. At that moment, the door opened and the doctor stepped in. Mr. Ajayi, you are awake. That is a very good sign. We will keep monitoring you for the next 72 hours. There are no complications so far. Your body is responding well. Kenneth nodded slowly. Thank you, doctor. But I need to ask, who was the donor? I need to know. The doctor looked at Tina, then at Kenneth. Are you sure? She asked to remain anonymous until you were fully recovered. Please tell me. I need to know, Kenneth insisted. The doctor sighed and walked closer. Her name is Angela Nwoke. The room went quiet. Kenneth's face froze. Angela? The doctor nodded. She used to work for you, I believe. We verified everything. She passed all the tests. She signed the donor form 2 days before the procedure and insisted that no one tells you until after the surgery. Tina looked confused. Wait, Angela, that girl you fired, the maid? Kenneth's mind ran back to the day he sacked Angela, the way she stood in the rain outside the gates begging him to at least let her explain. But he had walked past her like she didn't exist. Now, she was the same person who had kept him alive. He couldn't breathe for a second from shame. Where is she now? He asked. She's recovering in her ward, but she said she doesn't want anyone in. She doesn't want recognition. She just wants to go back to her normal life. Tina scoffed. What kind of normal person person gives a kidney for free? I mean, is she trying to get something out of this? Money or fame? Kenneth turned to Tina and stared at her for a long moment before saying, "Get out." Tina blinked. "What? Get out." She laughed as if it was a joke. "Babe, you are not well. Let's just..." "I said leave," he repeated. "Leave. Take your camera, take your shirt, and take your fake love with you." Tina's mouth dropped. "Are you serious right now?" "Yes," Kenneth struggled to say. "For the first time in my life, I am very serious." Seeing that he was going to embarrass her if she didn't leave, Tina picked her bag and stormed out. The room was quiet again, and Kenneth sank back into his pillow, closed his eyes, and this time tears rolled down. He was broken, and it was a kind of brokenness that was washing away the arrogance inside him like rain washing a dirty roof. Angela, the same girl he once treated like trash, had given him a second chance at life without demanding a single thing in return. He pressed the nurse call button. "I need to see her," he said. "I need to say thank you. I need to fix everything." A week after being discharged, Kenneth Ajayi stepped out of his black SUV and told his driver to wait for him at the junction. He didn't want to arrive with noise, convoy or PR, just his remorseful heart, his PA, and a bouquet of white roses that felt too small for the weight of his guilt. He walked past a narrow corridor behind a small church, following the address he had gotten from the nurse. His heart was pounding from shame, and as he turned the corner, he saw Angela. She was kneeling in front of a stack of clothes, folding second-hand baby clothes. Her side was still healing as she moved slowly. She was singing a worship song, one of those old hymns that only people who had seen hardship truly understood. Kenneth paused. He had prepared a long speech in the car, something dramatic and heavy, something a PR team could write. But standing there now, his mouth became dry. All the English in his head scattered like fish in hot oil. Angela looked up and their eyes met. She froze out of shock. "Sir." Kenneth took a slow step forward. "No, not sir, just Kenneth, please." She stood up slowly. "What are you doing here?" He came closer, then slowly went down on his knees in the middle of dust and held out the flowers like a student begging a wicked teacher after failing a test he didn't study for. "I came to say thank you, and I came to say I'm sorry for everything." Angela looked down at him and shook her head. "You don't need to kneel, please." "I do," he insisted. "I need to kneel because when I had money, power and pride, I thought I was better than you. But you, when you had every reason to ignore me and even hate me, you gave me life, not just a kidney. You gave me another chance to be a human being again." Tears gathered in Angela's eyes and she helped him stand. "Mr. Kenneth, I didn't do it to prove a point. I did it because I knew if I didn't, I wouldn't sleep at night. God told me to." Kenneth nodded slowly. "Then let me also obey what God is telling me to do." He turned and signaled to someone standing outside. A young man entered, Kenneth's PA, carrying a brown envelope, a document folder, and a small jewelry box. "I know you didn't do it for money, but I need to do this." Angela shook her head. "I don't want reward." "No, don't see this as a reward. See this as purpose." He handed her the envelope. It contained 100 million naira in a certified bank draft. "Use this for your charity. Help other people like me, people who need help but can't afford it. Set up your own help center. Your name deserves to be on a building." Angela's hands trembled. "Sir, this is too much." Kenneth shook his head. It cannot be compared to what you gave me. He handed her the folder. Inside it was a deed to a 3-bedroom house in Lekki Phase 1. No more rented rooms. No more praying for rain not to enter the ceiling. I bought you a place you can call your own. Angela was crying now. She was overwhelmed. Then he opened the small jewelry box. Inside was a simple gold bracelet engraved with her name and the words, "The one who gave life." He placed it on her wrist. "I can't erase the past," Kenneth said, "but if you let me, I want to honor you for the rest of my life." Angela nodded slowly. "I accept, not because I deserve it, but because I believe God is writing a bigger story, and maybe this is how it starts." From then on, Kenneth no longer cared about applause. He was back to running his company, but this time with compassion. He launched an anonymous fund for patients, hired new HR to stop workplace bullying, and refused every clout-chasing interview that asked about his miracle. When asked about the person who changed his life, he simply said, "You don't need to be rich to be priceless. My angel proved that." And every year on the date of his surgery, Kenneth sent Angela a handwritten letter saying, "Thank you again. I am still living and still learning because you believed I deserved it." Thank you for watching the story. Kindly share your thoughts about the story with me in the comment section. What lessons did you learn from the story? Kindly share the story out with your loved ones. Give the story a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you've not done so by now. Until I bring another story your way. Bye!